week. Well, it is sad to say, but summer is almost over. However, it's not too late to get a hot deal on a vacation before temperatures cool off. Joining us now with my favorite Hawaiian shirt that he's wearing right now, Tom Parsons, founder and the CEO of bestfares.com, is with me. Also got Hunter Kay, Vice President and Airline Analyst for Stifel Nicolaus. And it's great to have, gentlemen, to have you both here. And Tom, I do want to start with you. I think everyone's kind of asking right now, are there any great last-minute deals for travelers out there? Because we're going to get to the airline picture in just a moment with our analyst.
Well, I think right now there's 5 months of the year that we have to watch out for, and that's family travel. Since school's starting in session in Texas, like right now, my daughter's back in school. There's other schools starting next week. We are going into a major downturn, a very soft season for the airlines up until Thanksgiving, and then there'll still be another one right after Christmas. But if you're trying to go somewhere, there have been some bargain basement stuff out there. Probably about 45 U.S. cities east of Denver or east of the Rockies, we're finding airfares to Florida for $158 round trip. That could be Tampa, Orlando, or Fort Lauderdale, and that's good till December 15th right now. Also, Hawaii just went on. If you live in the western part of the United States, like San Diego, we're seeing Maui today, $270 round trip through November. We're also seeing San Francisco and places like Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon's $278 to Honolulu. Those were running at $400 or $500 just a couple of weeks ago. Packages, New York, Dallas, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Boston. There's over 20 U.S. cities. You can fly to Cancun, stay 7 nights at a 4-star hotel, airfare $200 international covered, and do it for under $900 per couple. And that's pretty amazing right there. That's a lot of margaritas.
Well, Tom, that is a lot of margarita for the consumer at home. But I'll tell you what, Hunter, that may not be good news for these airlines. I mean, that is certainly the concern right now with the universe that you cover. AMR, Continental, I was looking at your notes. You're maintaining buys on them. JetBlue, you've got a hold on. So talk to me about the stocks you think could be the most in jeopardy considering this fire sale of fares we've got going on right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't really describe this as a typical fire sale in the sense that this is just normal seasonal patterns for the airlines in terms of putting discounts out there once you get past sort of the shoulder month of September into October. It's very typical for the leisure travel volumes to fall off, as you guys have been discussing. But the difference this time around from an airline perspective and why we like the network carrier stocks as opposed to low-cost carrier stocks is that this time there's a bit of a floor, hopefully has been there, and this year more so than there was there last year in terms of corporate travel, providing a little bit of sort of a buffer. So the reliance isn't necessarily there as much as it was last year in the leisure travel, providing volumes and cash flow. Business travel usually picks up in the back half of September into October once the kids are back in school, and that's why this, from an airline stock perspective, should be a little bit better this season than it was last season, even with these fare sales in there for the leisure travel volumes.
That's the head of American Airlines, Hunter, on the phone for you. But hold on, because James is here and he's got a question for you as well.
Yeah, just a question. The stated fares, the airfares that are coming out, it seems like there's almost an a la carte menu now. It's the fare and then it's everything else that's going to get tacked on before you board the plane or before you get off the plane. Bags checked, upgrades, changes and whatnot. So any comment on yes, fares seem to be relatively inexpensive, but are they when you start tacking on everything that comes with jumping on a plane and going to one of these great destinations and enjoying a margarita, Tom, as you said?
Well, and Hunter, billions of dollars in revenues, as you know, that the airlines have all booked in the first and second quarters because of these extra fees, which customers hate, but they love.
Oh, it's fantastic. The customers really shouldn't hate it because a lot of these customers are subsidizing the minority of travelers who do check first and second bags, actually. So airlines unbundling these things like first bag fees, raising change fees, charging for blankets and pillows. This allows airlines to offer lower base fares, which the majority of leisure travelers take advantage of. So it's generally a good thing for the consumer. Look, there's a cost associated with transporting a bag, and airlines are finally charging the passengers for that. So on a net basis, a lot of passengers end up paying less than they would have had the product been bundled as it's been years past. And that's another point that you make too. Not only is this very, very accretive on the revenue side, but it's very accretive on the earnings side. You're talking 85–90% operating margin revenue here that drops almost straight to the bottom line. So airlines have an incentive to put cheap fares out there on sale and charge the consumers for the ancillary initiatives, like I mentioned before, bags, even sodas, in some cases food. So there is a benefit that the consumer realizes here.
But Tom, do you agree with that? I mean, do you agree with his perception here that the leisure traveler wins?
Well, I think the leisure travelers wins if you play the game right. I mean, like we already know, if you have an American Express card, you can check your first bag free on Delta. If you got the Continental Chase card, you can also check your first bag. Southwest, JetBlue also let you check your first bag free. Some of the airlines, if this Continental United merger goes through, I think some of those fees we can get around, and it also depends on your elite status too. Now, when it comes to those seat assignments, you know, there's one airline like Spirit. They're just loaded with every fee, and I would say those guys just they're in the business of just having hidden fees, and I would probably never fly them just because of that. But overall, low fares, you play the game, you fly light, you can probably get from point A to B. If you're going on a 7-day or a 14-day getaway somewhere, yeah, you're probably going to have to check a bag. But I got over 6 million air miles, and I cannot tell you, maybe on these 10 fingers here you see, that's how many times I've checked a bag over that time period. I carry on, and that's my gig. And yes, I try to go on the cheapest stuff, and I do want to upgrade as many times as I possibly can and do it.
When I was out of college, I was a flight attendant. I could teach a course on how to travel light, but that's another segment.
Yes.
Tom Parsons and Hunter Kay, thanks to both of you from Stifel Nicholas Hunter. Great to have you on the show. We'll see how the airlines do in the next quarter, guys.